Hello guys, I now got a new microphone. I'm just going to be telling some stories today. Okay, here we go. First we have, am I am I the asshole for outshining the bride at a wedding? I personally think yes, and I'm just going to read you the story. It is beginning with, was a 27-year-old female. I was a black African woman. I'm living and working in Germany for a fixed period on a second. I can't read that. Well, here I became quite frequently with colleagues, 60 female, and she invited me to her daughter's wedding. I was excited as I've ever been to a white wedding. I was asked if there's any dress code, color scheme to address it right there so I don't do anything. She said it wasn't anything impressive, just dress to impress. And at the day of the wedding, I understand the assignment. I wear my traditional wear, which is normally a beautiful and obviously not German. The garment green, and no problem there. Or so I thought. I get a lot of questions and compliments at the wedding, which I generally downplay because it's not my day. My colleague seems colder than usual, but I pay no mind to it since she's the mother of the bride. She could be pretentious or precautious. The bride is downright rude to me, but again, I give her grace. I congratulate her and thank her for including me, and I get a tight in response. I keep the edges of the room as the music isn't really my vibe. I'm just observing how European weddings work. I leave around 8 after 5 hours and I go home before the wedding finishes Monday. I walk into the office to hear whispers. People actually strangely and more reserved than usual. An office friend pulls me aside and fills me in. The bride's mother is fuming. My outfit was too extravagant and inappropriate. I drew attention away from the bride. She was calling me a selfish asshole, which was rude and disrespectful, and I wasn't paying anyone any attention, and I was just being a whore who only seeked attention. The comment was disrespectful. She told people all about it, apparently. I approached the mob and asked to speak as she says she has nothing to say to me. I asked her why. She is shit talking me, Sal, and telling everyone else but me. She calls me a insolent child. I explained to everyone who scolds me that this is my first white people wedding. I'm sorry, I can't talk. I specifically asked what was the dress code, and you guys said dress to impress. There is no such thing as outshining the bride at weddings or a fashion show and a chance to wear your best and brightest clothes. They told me this isn't Africa, which was racially coded. Not gonna lie, the people here don't have any manners. I laughed and told the person to go to hell. She's telling me I lack remorse and behavior. I'm wondering, am I really the asshole though? Edit. The dress isn't. I can't read that. I am about to board a flight though to go back to my country, so I'm doing that. Thanks for the feedback, and thanks for everyone who read this. That's story one. Let me go on to the next one. Okay, I'm back. Now on our next story we have, am I the asshole for uninviting my mom after she called my fiance embarrassing? I'm engaged to a woman named Tiffany and I love her with all my heart. Unfortunately, my mom has never seemed to be supportive of our relationship. It's pretty clear that she doesn't enjoy Tiffany's company. This has been a huge point of connection between my mother and I've made it clear that she needs to begin making an effort if she wants to be in our life. She continues to try to get away, excluding her, so I've had to come down hard with boundaries. Originally, my mom was going to go to a touring production of a Broadway show that Tiffany has been dying to see, but was unable to get tickets to. Mom was going with her sister, who woke up with a fever and chills. She was going out to invite her secretly as friends. Happened to be cut out of town. I told my mom it was ridiculous that Tiffany wasn't even in her fourth choice. I explained that this deeply hurt me and asked her to consider her future over her assistance. She ended up letting Tiffany go, but when it was over, when it was time to go, I saw my mom's face change. Tiffany, who was a huge girly girl, just loves to dress up, which, unfortunately, she doesn't get many chances to do. At the moment, she went all out for the show in a floor-length sparkly number with her hair done and beautiful makeup. Mom was wearing flare leggings and a sweater and Converse, and didn't even try to hide her disgust. She was asked if Tiffany was aware that no one dressed up for the performance arts center. Tiffany admitted that she might have gone a little overboard, but explained that she just loves getting dressed up. My aunt complained that she was going to feel embarrassed and told her to stop, and then they went on their way. Well, and it's recently come to my attention that my mom texted my aunt, including pictures of Tiffany taken without her knowledge, and complained about how embarrassing she was. She said that everyone was looking at them and some people were snickering. My aunt was making jokes back and I became furious. I demanded my mom explain to me, and she said I was being ridiculous. She said that she could talk to her sister about whatever she wanted and we needed to grow up. She blamed me for pushing Tiffany on to her in the first place and claimed that it was super embarrassing to everyone. Was giving Tiffany weird looks. I lost and told her she was uninvited from the wedding. If that is what she really thinks. She got really quiet and said, okay, if that's what I really wanted, and she said I was unwilling to compromise or make things work. Now the rest of the family is calling me an asshole, saying that I will regret not having my mom at the wedding and having her support. Next story we have here. Am I the asshole for refusing to let my mom see my 2-month-old daughter after she disowned me? I am 27 male, and I met my wife, now 35 female, who was a single parent with 3 kids. She was 8 years older than me. We met when I came home. We started dating. I met her kids, and they seemed so sweet. We got around pretty well, and I felt so relieved that I was worrying too much about my stepkids wouldn't like me. I'm grateful that I've met them and their mother. My mom went crazy when I told her. She started arguing with me a lot, telling me that I'll marry a single mother who was older than me wasn't going to happen. She was telling the whole family to agree with her and tried pressuring me into going out with someone else from church who's nearly the same age as me. I got fed up with this and I left her and told her that I was going to get married and have my now wife with or without her approval. My mom casually sent me a text the next day that she and the entire family disowned me and said that I will never be allowed to come home. And after that, everyone blocked me and refused to talk to me. My wife and I got married 2 months after I left home. We've now been married for 2 years and we have two-month-old baby girls. She's the only girl with 3 boys, so she was sweet, good new addition to our family. Last week I realized I've been receiving calls from another that I didn't recognize, so I found out that was my mother. She knew that my wife and I had a baby girl and wanted to see her, saying that my daughter's her biological grandbaby, and she has a biological connection to her. I spoke with my friend who admitted telling my family about our newborns and how the whole family was excited to meet her. My sister reached out to me after I refused to let my mom visit and told me that I was being cruel and unfair to her mom and for not letting her to see her grandbaby. She told me that I shouldn't forget that my daughter is family and that that should never change no matter what. I got mad because I just couldn't help but get mad and argue with her because everyone sided with my mom who disowned me, told me to never come back home, and now that they think I'd allowed my mom to see my daughter because she is family to her. They tried to set up a meeting twice and I refused. They're calling me cruel for using my daughter to get back at my mom for personal issues that we had before, completely forgetting that they tried to forget my wife being my wife. Now we have some news stories coming up now.
My straight BFS is fooling around with my gay cousin. Venting here is how the story goes. So the title basically give away what this whole post is gonna be about. My 18F BFS 17F has been intimate with my cousin 18F. I've known my BFS for like 10 years now and we've survived many friend groups, we've been through thick and thin together and she honestly feels like a sister to me. My cousin, who came out like 6 years ago, and I used to be really close but we had a disagreement and we've been distant ever since. It was a family-related issue I don't want to get into, not related to her coming out as lesbian since we fell out like 3 years after that, just thought I would disclaim. My cousin and BFS have been friends since I introduced them around 7 years ago and they have never been really close until now. I don't want anyone to make it out like I don't want my BFS to have friends beside me because I'm fine with that and she can have as many friends as will make her happy since I also have other friends as well. Though she doesn't like if I ever talk about those friends or make plans with them even if she doesn't make any effort to make plans with me which she doesn't really. I guess it's kind of driving me crazy that she can rant at me for hanging out with others but then feels like there is no problem when she hangs around with others. On days I attempted to make plans with her, and proceeds to send me pics of them all together or will post them on her SC story but will leave me on open/read/delivered all day. And again I have no problem with her having fun or other friends but she makes me feel like I'm in the ring when I choose to go to pre-made plans instead of asking her if she wants to hang out. My cousin and my BFS have been getting really close and it didn't bother me that they were hanging out with each other every day. Even when all my family members were asking me about it etc. However my BFS told me when we went shopping together 2 weeks ago that she had been fooling around with my cousin but that she wasn't into girls at all. I was really confused and I told her that she was probably bi or something since sexuality is a spectrum but she told me that she hated doing stuff with my cousin and feels sick the whole time and isn't into her at all. I of course asked her if the stuff they had been doing was consensual and my BFS said that it was and that she initiated it by kissing etc. but wasn't attracted to my cousin sexual or romantically and that she was doing it for the attention she gains from my cousin. I kept quiet after she told me this and she went and picked up my cousin and some of their friends to handle out at this restaurant place, where she proceeded to flirt with my cousin and they behaved like a couple in front of me. Kissed/held hands/held each other, and whilst I didn't really care about their outward display of PDA their other friends told them to stop and that it was making them uncomfortable but they carried on anyway. When we were about to leave we had to wait 40 minutes whilst they got intimate in the public restroom. The others were uncomfortable waiting so left after 20 minutes so after waiting another 20 I couldn't take it anymore I barged into the bathroom and told them that I would walk home and that the others left. They walked out after giggling and whispering for 5 minutes looking all disheveled. I haven't really spoken to either of them since this incident and I feel weird about the whole thing not only because I'm already quite a socially awkward person but to have to stand and wait for 20 minutes on my own at the table whilst the servers asked if I was okay was mortifying and neither of them apologized for leaving me to mess around. My BFS also wanted to watch a film alone with my cousin that night but told me she felt awkward taking me home. I told her that I don't mind and would be okay with going home but she told me to stay and watch a film with them. They touched each other during the beginning of the film even though I was between them. I got up and told them I needed the toilet and when I got back they were kissing and touching each other and had a blanket over them. I asked them if they wanted me to ring my mom and get her to pick me up but they said no and that they wanted me to stay and that they would stop. I sat back down and they both asked me why I don't want to sit in my spot between them. I told them I wanted to sit away from the blankets they had cause I was too warm so they left me alone. Them promising not to touch each other lasted 2 minutes and they sat there snogging for most of the movie. When the last 30 minutes of the film was playing I was relieved to know that I could finally go home until I heard them both giggling. I turned to look at them and could see that my cousin was on top of my BFS and they were getting intimate with each other again. I got up when my BFS started making noises and walked out of the room and went and got my shoes on. As I was getting my jacket on my friend told me she would take me home and to wait while she got her phone. She ran back to get her phone but when she didn't return after a minute I walked by the room she was in only to hear them both making intimate noises again. I texted my mom asking her to pick me up and whilst I was waiting for her response I heard my BFS tell my cousin that she needed to drop me off and my cousin laughed incredibly asking why I was still here in the first place. My friend shrugged as she walked out the room and into me. I walked straight past her and got into the car and she followed. She made a couple jokes about how weird and uncomfortable I made them both by staying and how she couldn't finish knowing I was listening. I asked her to be quiet and she told me I was selfish for making her leave my cousin whilst they were in the middle of getting hot and heavy. When we got to my house she grabbed my hand and told me that she was glad that I had been the reason they had stopped because she didn't enjoy what my cousin was doing and had to fake her pleasure every time. She also proceeded to tell me that she just moisturizes her in her intimate areas so that my cousin doesn't know that she doesn't make her wet. I told my friend that didn't want to or need to know about her sex life and slammed her car door. She hasn't spoken to me since and is acting like I'm in the wrong for getting in way of her having a happy relationship with my cousin. I didn't think I was, but am I? I decided after that day that I would leave them to it to decide what they were doing. I just wanted a place to vent/rant about the whole predicament because I don't know what to do or say. Any advice would be much appreciated. Also sorry that it's kinda long and if there is any spelling errors I'm also really sorry. Please go to my channel.